Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Happy Friday. In our top story, another school on St. Croix sent its students home early on Friday, this time because of odor concerns. Friday morning, students and staff were met with a strong chemical odor. The leadership of the St. Croix AFT expressed concerns not just about Friday's incident, but another concern that should have been resolved last year. News 2's April Knight has that story.
It was not a good week for public schools on St. Croix. Earlier in the week, water issues caused early dismissals in 3 schools. There was a sewage issue in another. This time, Alexander Henderson school students were sent home after a strong chemical smell was detected on Friday morning. St. Croix American Federation of Teachers President Rosa Soto Thomas was at the site Friday morning after one of the union's members alerted her to the situation.
That odor was in the building and it was intense and people couldn't breathe. The teachers just exited the building along with their students. I think that some of the members who have allergies, they made that decision on their own because they couldn't breathe.
According to the Department of Education, on Thursday night, a deodorizing agent was used on the classrooms, and because the windows were not left open overnight, the chemical smell remained strong when classes began Friday morning. But according to Soto Thomas, there was another problem that caused strong physical reactions. She said even the day before, some teachers and students were showing symptoms that were quite familiar to some union members because they experienced the same thing last year, symptoms associated with fiberglass exposure.
The intense itching that occurred, there were bumps on students' face, there were rashes. The AFT members know the fiberglass too well. They're experiencing the symptoms, and dozens of students and AFT members went to the nurse and lodged their complaints yesterday.
Soto Thomas said not only are both of these issues a threat to the health and safety of students and staff, she said the circumstances leading up to them are also a clear violation of the government's contract with the union.
The cleaning should not have occurred, when people were coming back into the room. Somebody should have checked the facility to make sure that it was clear and okay.
Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And according to education officials, there is no fiberglass issue at Henderson School, and that issue had been resolved when the school was closed last year. There's a big change in leadership at the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network. Tangia Coverdale, who was appointed by Governor Kenneth Mapp, abruptly announced her resignation. The VINGN board, which met Thursday this week, accepted the resignation and appointed board member Dr. Peter Schultz as interim president until a permanent replacement is selected. Coverdale took the helm at the VINGN in April of 2015 and was paid $170,000 a year. She also briefly held a territorial election coordinator position during 2014 election season, from which she also resigned before the general elections. VINGN has been under scrutiny during a Senate hearing in February. Lawmakers questioned why the Bureau of Information Technology and VINGN had decided that the network would be the sole provider of internet services to all government agencies. Senators were concerned that completely sideswipes the private sector and goes against the principles of healthy competition. Coverdale is now out of the territory on a previously scheduled travel arrangement. Arturo Watlington Jr., chairman of the Joint Boards of Election, reports that ES&S, the software contractor and supplier for the Virgin Islands elections system, has reported in a letter dated March 8, 2016, sent to the supervisor of elections, Carolyn Fox, that the DS-200s are ready for the 2016 election and that all issues that were reported by the election system of the Virgin Islands have now been resolved. Also, the St. Croix District Board of Elections has a scheduled voter registration and machine demonstration set for Saturday, March 12 at the Frederiksted Post Office at 9 a.m. to 12. Governor Kenneth Mapp has asked the Economic Development Authority Board to reconsider the tax benefit package it provided for the Secret Harbor Resort. According to the governor, the tax benefits package includes a provision for granting tax exemptions retroactively during a period when the resort was not in full compliance with its previous benefit agreement. Secret Harbor had a 10-year period of tax benefits that expired in 2011. And according to EDA, the resort did not comply with the terms of its tax benefit package during that period and never resumed paying taxes when its benefit expired. In other news, Schneider Regional Medical Center received some much-needed help from the community on Friday. Members of the Charlotte-Amalie high school class of 1987 heard about a specific need of the hospital's hemodialysis unit, and they stepped up to procuring the items. The hospital's CEO, Bernard Wheatley, also spoke on the discontinued hip and knee implant procedures. NEWS2's April Knight has more.
Staff at Schneider Hospital's hemodialysis unit were all smiles on Friday. They just got 2 brand new hemodialysis chairs, a donation from the Charlotte-Amalie High School class of 1987.
I was listening to a Senate hearing one day, and the hospital was testifying as to the problems with the hemodialysis units and the shortage of chairs to accommodate the number of patients that they see. And I brought it to the class as one of the suggestions for a donation to back to the community.
According to Schneider's CEO Bernard Wheatley, the chairs are a needed and welcome donation to the unit that serves a significant number of patients in need of dialysis.
These 2 chairs greatly add to the comfort level of our patients going through hemodialysis treatment. This is a 3-hour cycle.
Now the CHS class of 1987 is challenging other classes to do the same. While the hemodialysis unit is getting a boost, the hospital had to cut back on another service, elective hip and knee implants.
It's so costly, it averages about $8,000 per implant on the high end. And these are non-reimbursable. Currently under the CMS system, Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, we get $0.
According to Wheatley, the hospital's financial situation makes it impractical to continue offering the service. Wheatley did stress that emergency implants are still available at the hospital.
Obviously, if you fall down, somebody has a fracture, shows up to the emergency room, and they need surgery, orthopedic surgery is still going to happen here for whatever we need to do, for the patient.
For NEWS2, I'm April Knight.
The St. Thomas East End Medical Center is experiencing some technical difficulties. They say that it affects access to some medical files. Patients are advised to bring their written prescriptions and medications in the original containers to each appointment. Although St. Thomas East End Medical Center urges patients to make a habit of bringing medications to each visit, it is imperative that patients continue to do so until the system is functional. Inquiries can be made to 340-775-3700. The staff and management sincerely apologize for any inconvenience and will issue notification as soon as that problem is rectified. Well, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz were not the big winners during a Republican pre-caucus event on St. Croix on Thursday. 6 Republican strategists who were uncommitted to any candidate swept the contest, led by the formerly Northern Michigan-based strategist John Yob and his wife Erica. Yob moved to the Virgin Islands a year ago after visiting the territory many times in the past. There were attempts by the remaining Republican presidential candidates to gather support in the Virgin Islands. Rafael Cruz, for instance, father of Ted Cruz, visited the Virgin Islands to win other voters. And there were campaigns by Republicans in other territories like Guam and Puerto Rico that didn't work. However, on Thursday, the lowest vote getter of all the uncommitted delegates picked up 117 votes. In comparison, the most successful Rubio delegate candidate, Valerie L. Stiles, won only 72 votes. The Republican presidential candidates are playing nice instead of mudslinging, inappropriate innuendos, and shouting. The GOP debate had calm and collected discourse. Mary Maloney has the highlights.
I cannot believe how civil it's been up here.
Apparently, the candidates were just as surprised as the crowd. During the GOP debate in Coral Gables, Florida, the final 4 Republicans running for president were, for the most part, respectful as they discussed policy.
I'd be, maybe running for president of Croatia if we didn't have immigration.
Immigration is a key issue for Florida. One hot topic, a visa program called H-1B, encouraging legal immigration for highly skilled workers.
I know the H-1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use.
Donald Trump also asked about his recent comments on Muslims.
Last night you told CNN, quote, Islam hates us. Did you mean all 1.6 billion Muslims?
I mean a lot of them. I mean a lot of them.
The debate is a make-or-break moment for Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who was quick to remind the crowd that he is in his home state.
My mother, who happens to be here today, I'm against any changes to Social Security that are bad for my mother.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz also used his roots to connect to Florida voters.
59 years ago, Florida welcomed my father to America as he stepped off the ferry boat from Cuba onto Key West.
And the frontrunner sent a message to his party: if he gets the votes, he should be the Republican nominee.
The Republican establishment, or whatever you want to call it, should embrace what's happening.
I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
And keeping our eye on the economy, let's take a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our Stock Market Watch. According to the numbers there, everything up. The Dow 218, NASDAQ 86, S&P 500 also up at 32. Coming up on News 2, time for our VI history quiz. He lost in the race for governor to Melvin Evans in 1970, but eventually became governor of the Virgin Islands in 1975 until 1978. And here's the best clue, the easiest thing. The main airport on St. Thomas is named in his honor. Who is he? We'll be right back. Welcome back. The Virgin Islands Police Department would like to advise the general public that the firearms office located at the Alexander Farrelly Justice Complex will be closed for business from Monday, March 14th through Friday, March 18th, so records can be updated and processed. No new applications will be issued during this time of closure. The Firearms Bureau will resume its regular service to the general public, they say, on Monday, March 21st. Students at Antilles School celebrated Black History Month in a big way Friday morning. Each year, one senior and one junior take on the task of leading the middle and upper schools in a festival commemorating the history and VI History Month. There were several moving performances by each grade, including poetry, recitations, movie recreations, and musical performances, which includes a partnership with the Charlotte Amalie High School Marching Hawks. This year's event also featured guest speaker Brianna Adams, Antilles class of 2012, who spoke about modern social justice and civil rights issues and national movements such as Black Lives Matter. Brianna said her goal was to encourage her peers to engage on a quest towards moral consciousness, to be sensitive and in tune with the racial and political climates in their respective communities and abroad. She also encouraged them to take action to rectify the injustices and illnesses in these communities for the betterment of humanity. Congratulations to the Antilles students for a successful event. Representatives of St. Thomas-based Yacht Haven Grand Marina donated 100 laptop computers to the Charlotte Amalie High School in a ceremony that was held at the school's library on Thursday, March 10th. Now, this brings the company's total donation of computers to the territory's first high school to 120. A donation of 20 laptops had been previously made. CAHS Principal Alcide Edwards expressed his gratitude for the timely gift. As the computers arrived, he says, just ahead of the online-based Smarter Balance summative assessments, which the territory's public school students will begin taking on Monday, March 14th. Representatives from Yacht Haven Grand pledged their continued support of public education. Yacht Haven Grand has pledged to supply CAHS with 300 iPads. Well, are you a fan of Prince? He is in the territory for one night only. Well, not the actual Prince, but a world-renowned impersonator who is here along with Obama and others for a comedy show to raise funds for Civil Air Patrol. Here is more.
A gentleman from the Chippendales organization approached me one day out of the blue at a nightclub and wanted me to do a Prince act. He just saw me dancing around in a nightclub and said I looked like Prince, which I did because I won a look-alike contest for him. So actually, when one thing led to another, he put me in the show. I was with Chippendales for like 2 years doing the whole dance act, but as Prince came in on a motorcycle, we had doves. It was pretty spectacular. And we went around the world.
We got my man Prince here. We got Barack Obama coming in at 1:30 for the parade. We have a parade down Main Street on Saturday at 11:30, where all the celebrities are going to walk and meet all the businesses downtown. We have a marching band. We've got majorettes. It's going to be awesome. So I'd like to invite everybody to come down.
Be sure to check that out. Now, time for a moment in Black history. We use the name a lot when we talk about travel and the St. Thomas Airport. Cyril Emmanuel King, born in Frederiksted, St. Croix, was best known for his political achievements, but he was also a member of the U.S. military and rose to the rank of sergeant. He was a member of the staff of U.S. Senator Hubert Humphrey for 12 years, conducted a government study that became the basis of grading various jobs in the system. He lost in the race for governor to Melvin Evans in 1970, but eventually became governor of the Virgin Islands in 1975 until 1978. The main airport on St. Thomas is named in his honor. Nancy Reagan's funeral was held today in Simi Valley, California, where the former First Lady was remembered for her remarkable life. Paul Verkeman has this report.
The nation said farewell and thank you to Nancy Reagan Friday.
God bless Nancy. Mrs. Ronald Reagan, First Lady.
In attendance, First Lady Michelle Obama, President George W. Bush, former First Lady Laura Bush, Hillary Clinton, and Rosalind Carter. The 94-year-old former First Lady passed away Sunday at her home in Los Angeles. Throughout the week, she's been honored and remembered by family, friends, celebrities, and political dignitaries from all colors of the political spectrum.
She might not have been the President of the United States, but Ronald Reagan couldn't have done what he did without her. So I think the public owes her a debt of gratitude.
During Friday afternoon service at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library.
Ronald and Nancy Reagan were defined by their love for each other. They were as close to being one person as it is possible for any two people to be. Now she too has exited the stage to join her beloved Ronnie in eternity.
The popular First Lady's body arrived at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library Wednesday after a private family ceremony. Thousands of visitors were given a last chance to pay their respects.
I think she was one of the best First Ladies we've ever had.
Mrs. Reagan's final resting place will be at the library next to the man she called her Ronnie, former President Ronald Reagan, with whom she had a celebrated love affair.
They were one of those rare cases in the world, politics and personal, where 1 + 1 equaled infinity.
In Simi Valley, California, I'm Paul Verkeman.
Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.